Hey guys, so we are here in North Salem, New York. I just got back from my first gravel ride thanks to Cannondale and my new friend Nina, who took me out on an amazing ride to try all the different flavors of gravel. I have to say I was a little terrified on some of the trails, but I completely trusted in Nina for the GPS. She's
had a good route.
Yeah, I knew she knew where she was going, so I wasn't my usual normal nervous. So so tell me a little bit about how long you've been out on gravel and riding, because you seem to really know your thing.
The length of time for doing gravel, it feels like it's been sort of a natural progression.
Yeah.
That this is something we always did on our cyclocross bikes, and I raced cyclocross for many years. So it kind of has always been sort of the shoulder season activity of just seeking out the gravel paths and dirt roads that were around where you could just make a fun, adventuresome ride. And now we are developing bikes that just do a really good job at doing this kind of ride.
Yeah.
And so it's gotten a lot more fun in the last 5 years since we started making top stones for this.
I mean, I have to say that was like one of the best rides and experiences I've had in ages. Like, I felt like even though we were riding over small trees, I actually got off my bike and walked over the tree. I felt like that would be like for the second gravel ride, riding directly over the tree.
We'll get you bigger logs.
Also, I need like a different helmet for that. But I mean, so tell me a little bit about what you do at Cannondale. And by the way, Nina has the coolest job.
Yeah, I do have the coolest job. I get to be a product manager at Cannondale, and that means I'm responsible for bikes such as the Top Stone. And what a product manager does is really just come up with the vision for a bike. We work in teams, obviously, to come up with exactly what kind of ride we want to make a bike for. And then from there, we work with designers and engineers to really come up with the physical properties of what that bicycle needs to be. And then we work through getting that bike produced as a frame, and then putting the parts on it that are going to make the ride, perfect for that rider's conception that we have for the bike. So really, a product manager is just the person responsible for taking the vision of a bike and transmitting that all the way to the finish line, which is like production bikes coming off the line and going into bike shops and getting sold and giving people wonderful ride experiences like what you had today.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds like a very cool job.
It's a very cool job.
Yeah, I mean, you get to like test bikes and like ride bikes for work. Yeah. I mean, not that my job sucks, but
no, but we get to give presents at the end of the day. We get to be
that's awesome.
Bicycle elves.
Who is the Top Stone customer? Like, who is that rider?
So the Top Stone rider is the one that just wants a bike that's not going to hold them back from any kind of adventure they can imagine. So it's a rider that just wants to go explore their world on two wheels, and it could be on a really rough single track path through the woods, but also just a nice smooth gravel road, even a paved road. But they just want to get out there and just see what the world's going to throw at them on their bike ride, and they just want a bike that's going to stand up to that challenge. And not only that, but just be like a partner in the ride, and just be your faithful companion that just wants to go ride. It's just beckoning to you from the door, like let's go have an adventure, let's go play. It's a very fun bike to ride.
Yeah, I mean, I had a lot of fun. I have to say that I was surprised at how fast it was and how light it was on the road, especially. Like, I knew there would be great suspension, like for being on gravel and did we do any single tracks? Was that a single track?
Yeah, we did a little single track.
Because like, I was definitely terrified on this. I'm like, how much longer are we in the woods? I'm like, I left my bear spray in the car. But I really, it was beautiful. But like, being from New York City, I was definitely like,
we were
Silence of the Lambs was definitely like.
No. Well, this is.
So I did, but I am adventurous. So we did do some single track stuff. That's cool. So, but I mean, it was definitely like I could trust the bike. Like, I really felt like, even if I didn't feel like as a rider I could do something, like the bike could do it.
The bike has a lot of confidence. Yes, it can stand up to any challenge you want to throw at it. And it can make you feel safe in riding those bumpy, pothole, terrible roads. And I mean, honestly, in New York City, I feel like it could be a very, very good bike for a number of rides you might take.
Yeah, well, I mean, the entire West Side Highway, when you're riding up like the bike path, is like potholes, and even when you're riding out on 9W, like it's a great bike. I mean, the tires were awesome. So talk to me a little bit about the difference, between like the tires on the Topstone bike and the wheels versus like maybe like traditional gravel tires. Because you told me when I showed up, like I was like, oh, the tires look.
Well, so there's not really such thing as traditional gravel just yet, because it's still too new of
like
a discipline. But there's quite a range, and we've gone to kind of the tires on the Topstone that you rode today are 44 millimeters wide, and so that's in the bigger end of the spectrum for gravel bike tires. Like they probably start around 32. You can have some. There's some.
Yeah.
Some
I felt like I was on a yacht, like we're driving like a big Cadillac. But
you definitely get a lot
the handling
more.
was like very sharp, so not like the Cadillac. Just
Well, the Cadillacs handle sharply. That's one of the benefits of.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they can. Yeah.
They just seem like such giant cars.
Yeah, there's some sporty versions.
All right, fine.
Yeah,
I'll take that back. If anybody
so we're
from
like
Cadillac
a
wants
sporty
to send us
Cadillac.
cars. Okay.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see. So those are 44 millimeters wide. It's the WTB Riddlers that were on your bike, and they're like pretty fast rolling on the pavement, which is really nice. And then they've got these side knobs for a little bit more traction when you're turning on gravel. But the width itself just gives you a lot more cushion. It does feel like a softer ride that way. Like you can run slightly lower tire pressure than you do in the narrower ones.
So what was the tire pressure, like 60?
No, we were at 35.
Oh
35
wow.
PSI.
Okay. Wow. Okay. It's very, very cush.
Yeah, it gives a really nice ride, gives you a lot more traction and a lot more stability, and they're tubeless, so you don't need to worry about flatting. So in that respect, it's that's maybe less traditional. There's still a lot of people running tubes, but the tubeless ride feels a lot better, I think. Yeah.
And so this is sort of like gravel for you is like vanilla because you spent your life doing MTB. Mountain biking.
I don't know that's vanilla actually, because there's sort of an underbiking thing that people go for in gravel, and so when you want to have a more exciting ride, you ride your gravel bike on trails that are a little bit more rugged than the ones we were on today, and that can just ups the adventure, makes you ride a little slower. It's like nicer in the winter to ride that way because you work just as hard, you just don't go as fast, so you don't get as cold. Yeah,
and you were saying that you ride like you're outdoors on your bike. Like,
as long as the sun's out, I'll get out. Yeah. But in Connecticut, the sun's not always out. So.
The sun's not always out.
Yeah.
No, the sun's not always out, and plus we're like in the woods. So
right.
Now, do you always ride in the woods, like back over here, or are you also like? Is there other areas that you ride?
We mostly have woods. It's true. It's woodsy. It's
There's no like concrete.
We ride down to the beach sometimes.
Okay.
That's not so far. Like Connecticut has access to everything, so that's nice. And there's kind of like some rolling hills, like farmland kind of terrain that we also ride to on our gravel bikes and road bikes out here.
So people can get the Topstones now, right? Like they're available, whereas so many bikes are unavailable.
Great, yeah.
That's great.
They have pretty good availability right now.
And then you also have a gravel race bike, right?
Yeah, the Super 6 Evo SE is the bike that we've conceived of for gravel racing, and that's a really great bike for when you want like a more stripped down, bare bones, very fast. Like the focus on that bike is going fast, covering long distances quickly. It doesn't have quite the same level of utility of a Topstone, so for attachment points for your bags and that kind of thing, like it doesn't have that. It's more aerodynamically efficient, but otherwise there's some overlap in the uses that you could do.
And then, like, I was really nervous on the downhills on the gravel. Was there, and you gave me some good advice about just like riding, but maybe you could share it here with my listeners, because I was nervous that his like going on a downhill on a road bike, I would go like 45 miles an hour, no problem, right? But in the gravel, I was nervous that my bike was gonna skid out or something.
When you're on a road bike with smooth tires, riding on smooth pavement, then it's a lot different feeling, that connection between the tire and the ground.
Yeah.
And a lot of it in gravel is just relaxing and realizing that you've got these nice knobby big tires that are going to be able to handle, all the little bumps and the skitterish gravel that's there. So it's really just more about relaxing and letting the bike do its thing, and don't fight the bike too much is the main lesson. Like don't slam on the brakes. You know, like if you're uncomfortable, like just gradually brake and stay in a straight line. Just stay smooth and mostly just smile and get your
she
head
said
down.
smile. I was like, okay, no
you're gonna
problem.
be fine. Yeah.
I was like, I guess I could smile.
It's supposed to be fun.
Yeah, no, it was fun, but you know,
But the
like,
more
I'm
relaxed you
serious.
are, the better. The better it is. Like the more rigid you are, then all that suspension can't really do as much for you.
Yeah. One of the things I loved about gravel is that there really were no cars, right? And you were kind of like,
That's a big benefit of gravel. That's a big reason why people are
I
flocking
felt
to
like
gravel.
safe. Like I didn't feel like I had to worry that I was going to be like knocked out by a car. I was more worried that like, I don't know, I was going to like ride the bike over a tree and go flying.
Yeah, right.
Not with Nina though. Yeah, I can just see it happening to me like on my own.
Yeah, I mean that is a big part of the benefit of riding gravel is that you're getting on these roads that people don't want to take their.
But they were all like legitimate
Car,
paths. Like they weren't like really off the beaten paths.
Yeah. No, it's can be just as direct. Only just you're just slightly off, just enough to
Just
get out
enough
of the traffic.
off the grid to
Yeah.
feel like you're off the grid, but you're not really off the grid, which is kind of like my jam.
Yeah.
Awesome. This has been great. Thanks for doing this video.
Yeah.
We'll have a longer podcast conversation about
Okay.
gravel and Topstone and Cannondale and like the history of Cannondale and all the good things. But
Okay.
this is just
I'll
for my
study up.
YouTube. Yeah, totally.